Hey my beautiful people, welcome back to another video. As always, I am happy to have you. I am so grateful that you clicked on my video. Thank you and welcome. Alright, so I am going to be making some lasagna, as you can tell from the title. So let's get into it. So the beef that I'm using is 93% lean. I'm going to go ahead, chop up my onions, chop up my garlic. I chop them really fine so that I don't have big chunks in my ground beef when it's cooked. Alright, so I'm gonna saute them. I already have my pot heated and I'm gonna saute them and add my ground beef. Yeah, the pot was a bit hot, so I turned it down in order to not burn my garlic. I like when my onion is sauteed to the point where it's soft and translucent. The next thing I'm going to do is add my ground beef, and I'm going to season my ground beef with some fresh thyme. I just take the leaf from the thyme and I'm going to add that. I also want to give my beef a little kick, so I add some finely chopped Scotch bonnet pepper. This pepper is really nice. It adds a nice flavor to the pot, and I didn't add the seed because I don't want it to be overly spicy. If you don't have any Scotch bonnet pepper, feel free to go ahead and add some red pepper flakes. I just now added some basil, oregano, and some beef seasoning. If you have fresh herbs, go ahead and use that, but I use the dehydrated oregano and basil. Before I add my sauce, as you can see, my beef is a bit greasy, so I'm going to remove the grease and then add my sauce. I'm going to be using 2 cans of Hunt's tomato sauce. I'm also going to use some tomato paste and a little of my Prego meat sauce. After adding all of that, I'm going to go in with some black pepper, paprika, and a little salt. But while you're cooking it, you can go ahead and taste it and see what's missing, what you'd like to add. So to create a more overall balanced sauce, you can go ahead and add a pinch of sugar. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it does balance the acidity in the tomatoes, and we're using a lot of tomato sauce, so you might want to do that as well. And I'm going to cover it and allow it to simmer, but before I do that, I'm going to add some black pepper, paprika, and a little salt. If you find that the sauce is a little thick, you can add a little water, just like a 1/4 cup, not too much, just to thin it out a little bit, but it should be fine. All right, so I'm going to just cover that, let that simmer, and after about 15 to 20 minutes, it should look like this. All right, so I'm going to set this aside, and I have my water boiling for my noodles. I'm not going to cook the noodles all the way through. I am going to give them about 6 minutes in the water. So add my salt to the hot water, and then I'm going to add the noodles. I don't want my noodles to be too soft and soggy, so that's the reason I'm not cooking them all the way through. So these noodles take about 12 minutes to cook, so I give them 6 minutes to boil, and then I take them out. So now that we have gotten the noodles out of the way, we're going to go ahead and make the bechamel sauce. I add a 1/2 stick of butter, and I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of flour. I'm just going to put the stove on low so that my flour don't burn. So I stir it around to ensure that the flour is mixed out, and then I'm going to add 1 cup of my milk. All right, I add a 1 cup of milk first so that I can mix out the flour. And as soon as that is mixed out smoothly, then I add the rest of my milk. All right, if you're going to be using ricotta cheese or cottage cheese, then you can skip this step, but I don't like those cheese, so this is why I prefer to use the bechamel sauce. So in all, I used 3 cups of milk. I added some salt to taste, and I'm going to add a pinch of nutmeg. So that's all the ingredients that you will need, and it all depending on how much you're making. I didn't make a lot because my dish is not deep. All right, so once you have a semi-thick consistency, your sauce is ready. It should coat the back of your spoon. So next I'm going to prep my mozzarella cheese, and you guys know I like to keep things simple, so I'm going to only use mozzarella cheese and Parmesan cheese, and that's it. So it's time to make my layers. I'm adding some sauce at the bottom so that my noodle doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan, and then I'm going to proceed to laying my noodles. All right, so after laying the noodle, I went in with my meat sauce again, and then I added my bechamel sauce, then my Parmesan and cheddar cheese. So as for my dish, it's a 9 by 13. It's not the extra deep pan. So now I've reached my last layer. So I am gonna just go ahead, add my meat sauce, add my bechamel sauce, my mozzarella cheese, and my Parmesan, and that's it. I already have my oven preheated at 375 degrees. After adding my cheese, I am going to go ahead and add a piece of foil. So the foil will help the lasagna to stay moist while they cook, as well as prevent your cheese from burning. I sprayed it with some cooking spray to prevent the foil from sticking to the cheese. Alright, so make sure that when you're wrapping it, you seal the ends, but don't wrap it too tightly. Just create like a little tent on top. So it has been 40 minutes in the oven. I am just sprinkling on some fresh parsley to just for decoration purposes. So this is the finished product after I put it back without the foil for 5 minutes. This is the finished product and it looks wonderful and it tasted great. My son has been waiting for this for the longest time because when he's at school he would buy the frozen one and then bring it to his dorm room and microwave it. So he has been asking me for some fresh one and I finally make it, and a few persons have asked me in my messages to make this as well. So here it is, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share the video with your friends and family. All right, take care and I'll see you guys in my next one.